The key to successful, healthy, and joyful parenting is the abundance mindset. It's believing that you do have enough love, time, and patience. It's believing that you are enough. But before we can fully understand abundance mindset, we need to understand scarcity mindset. Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson is here to explain. First of all, I love this topic. Any application, any time of year sort of a thing. But I love that you are pushing it on parenting. So let's start, as I said, with a scarcity mindset. How do you define that?
Yeah, and don't get overwhelmed by the words, right? If we look at a scarcity mindset, it's really just believing that we don't have enough.
Yeah.
Right, that there's not enough time, enough patience, enough of us, that we're not good enough. That's a scarcity mindset.
It induces panic, anxiety, disappointment, letdown.
All those things. And it's often expressed in the way we communicate with our kids, right? Have you ever heard yourself at bedtime, your kids say, can we read a story? No, we don't have enough time. Hey, can I call grandma? No, we don't have enough time. Hey, can we talk? No, I have to go. There's constantly this feeling we give towards them. Mom, can I have my friends over? No, your room isn't clean enough, right? And so there's this feeling of not enough of things all the time. And so one of the ways we can see if this scarcity mindset is kind of taking over in our brains, in our parenting, is to ask yourself, what is your relationship with the word enough? It's just a really simple question. But if you were to pause for a minute and think, okay, what's my relationship with that word? We can start to better understand how we view things, right?
I love that.
And how we communicate with our kids about this mindset, abundance versus scarcity.
What a good micro challenge, though, to take a word and say, how do I feel or connect with just that one word?
Just
I love that, Heather.
Just enough, right? Now, the problem is when we have a scarcity mindset, all of our energy goes to focusing on what we don't have enough of, which means there is no energy left to focus on what we're grateful for. There is no energy left to focus on solutions, to focus on connecting. Scarcity mindset really does suck us dry of all of our energy. It all goes to that. And if we've ever been stuck in that I don't have enough feeling or thought process, you can refer back to that and realize there wasn't any other room to think anything else. And so it takes away our capacity. Now, on the flip side is an abundance mindset. An abundance mindset is simply recognizing that there is enough. We have enough time. We can have enough energy. There is enough love. We are good enough to do this parenting thing. We are enough as is. An abundance mindset also means that there's potentialities. We can see limitless potential. And so now when we have this mindset, we actually grow more energy, for lack of a better way to put it. There's more energy that shows up, more solutions, more connection. And the abundance mindset lines up with who we say we want to be. A scarcity mindset doesn't.
I've been reflecting a lot on a mantra. It was a money mantra shared by financial professor Amanda Christensen back in December when we were looking at a budget topic of sorts. But she spoke to what you're saying, and she said, this was the mantra, I have what I need, and what I have is enough.
Awesome.
And again, that applies to finances, but it also applies to what you're speaking to, love, time, patience. I have what I need, and what I have is enough.
That's exactly right. Imagine if we started every day hearing just that mantra, right? And again, I think when we talk about these mindsets and abundance, we really do go to money first. That's where we're familiar with it.
Yeah.
But this is in every aspect of our life. As a parent, as a woman, as a mother, I have what I need, and what I have is enough.
Help us grow that abundance mindset. You say it begins by knowing where we're lacking.
We're lacking. When it comes to parenting, we lack first in three main areas. We have a scarcity mindset when it comes to time, when it comes to love, and when it comes to ourselves being enough.
Okay.
So if you want to have a good place to start, first ask, what's my relationship with that word enough? How do I feel about that when I ask myself that?
Yeah.
And then start applying it to how you look at time and enough of that, the love you can offer, and especially us being enough. And take a step back and put your energy in those three places first. Instead of, how am I going to do this to my whole life? Let's just focus on the places where in parenting, we tend to feel scarce. And it's in those three spaces.
It makes me so sad and sort of perplexed, if I'm being honest, that there are women out there wondering if they have enough to be a good mom. That makes me sad. It also makes me scratch my head. Really? Women out there are doubting that.
Absolutely. That they have enough patience or enough energy or enough ability, that they have enough to connect with someone. I mean, if you're struggling with a teenager, it's really easy to have thoughts that you're not enough, that you're not doing it right, that we don't have enough of what they might need in order to connect with them. So this scarcity mentality, it can take over really, really quick.
Okay,
really
so next step, focus on what you want to see more of.
Yeah, scarcity mentality leads us to focus on what we don't have enough of. And so we're going to switch it to, what is it that I want to see more of, right? So again, go back to bedtime when a child says, can we read a story? And we say, no, we don't have enough time. It's too late, we don't have enough time, right? We've we've all heard that come out of our mouths at least once when it comes to our kids probably.
Or 5 times a week.
Or yes, or every day, every day, right? Instead, what is it that we want to see more of? Well, what if we focus on, I want to have more connection or see more connection with our kids, instead of we don't have enough time to read a story. That's now shifting. When our kids come home and say, hey, can I have a friend over? And again, a phrase we often say, your room's not clean enough. No, friends, your room's not clean enough. What if instead we focus on what we want to see more of, which is, I would love to see our kids have more or stronger relationships with their friends. Now I'm focusing on something completely different instead of what there's not enough of.
I like it.
We also want to make sure that we're giving very generous limits. And this one gets a little bit tricky because we hear the word generous and limits and it's like, oh, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Okay, but I like these words together, actually.
Yeah, an abundance mentality is where we offer up really generous limits.
Okay.
A lot of the contention that comes with between us and our kids is a result of us constantly telling them that what it is they'd love to be involved in and do, there's not enough time for or enough to do it, and have our own things that we need done too. So for example, we don't have enough time for you to play video games and get your homework done. Right? We don't have enough time for you to do your piano and also do your homework or clean your room.
And that makes them feel deprived, anxious, what?
It does. It makes them feel like they're constantly having to choose. Well, then we push and they have to choose our way. Instead, imagine if you had this generous limit or generous mindset when it comes to abundance and said, hey, there's time to do all the things you love and that I need to do, or that I want to see. Generous limits takes away the contention, and now everyone can focus on what they're grateful for and how we connect and how we problem solve and how we can get it all done.
About a week ago, I knocked Emmy's socks off because she said, can I have 5 more minutes on your phone? And really, I needed 10 for my selfish reasons to get Penny out of the tub and get her dressed by the time. You know, there was ulterior motives, but I said, how about 10? I upped her 5 by 10, and her eyes popped open like, okay, you know.
Yep.
So those generous limits can work to our favor.
It's interesting because after you probably needed her to do something or maybe participate in something or help you in some way. And so for you to be generous that way lets her go, wait a second, I can hang out on my mom's phone for a minute and I can get my homework done. I can do both of these things instead of, no, it only has to be one way.
1 minute left. You want us to check our stories?
Yes, the way we talk to ourselves.
Okay.
Again, this is in our heads. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough patience. I'll never be enough. Imagine if you hear that all day, parenting is really, really miserable. And those stories aren't just what we hear, but those are the stories we tell our friends. How often do you sit down with a friend or run into a neighbor or go to maybe a religious gathering to church and someone says, how are you? Well, I don't have enough time. Right? We really give that message all the time that there is scarcity to our lives. And so when we're constantly telling ourselves and others those stories, they support them in their responses.
Yeah, they validate it.
And we tend to believe them. And that's not true. There is enough. And from there, you know, we've heard a growth mindset. We've heard that lots of times. A growth mindset leads to an abundant life. A growth mindset is instead of fixed, is this belief that we're born a certain way with talents and skills and abilities, and we can also learn, and we can improve. And so when we're willing to have a growth mindset that I can gather new skills and abilities, that leads to an abundant mindset or an abundant life.
This is a beautiful lesson. Great conversation to kick us off this week, Heather. Thank you so much. To contact Heather for counseling, you can find her information on our website,